Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Inshallah, everybody in the best state of health and iman. Alhamdulillah. Pardon me, man. I bust out some of this fresh juice, man. But Alhamdulillah. I'm gonna be brief, man. Inshallah. I just want to say a few things, man, about people, man, that I mean, they really hate hadiths. Like, when I talk about hadiths and tafsirs and some of the things that people say about Allah, that Allah said about himself, I lose, like for instance, if Allah say, Allah is all hearing, and then people who want to say Allah can't hear and try to say that word in Arabic means awareness and try to change it and all that when it doesn't. You know what I'm saying? So things like that. When I talk about things that Allah said about himself, and they want to say Allah can't hear because Allah creations hear. He created hearing, so therefore it's impossible for Allah to be able to hear. When I make videos like that and videos about hadiths, people unsubscribe. And you know, it's a couple of videos where some people had asked me how could I be contacted in the comments. So in the comments, I put how I could be reached on Telegram, and then on a couple of videos, I put how I could be reached on Telegram and a link in the videos. So people contact me on Telegram. People contact me on Telegram, and when I tell you they be upset about hadiths and things that Allah say about himself that they want to change and deny, it is amazing. It is amazing. Now, like, even so, this group, the Quranists, they've been around overseas. Like, I've been aware of the Quranists for years. Now, I can say this, because the way I grew up, when I was a teenager, before I read the Quran, right? I used to hear about hadiths, but I never heard anything positive about them, right? So I had an issue with hadiths when I was a teenager as well. I also said they were superstition, but I had never read the Quran. I had never been to the masjid or none of that. But this is things that was repeated to me. So when I finally got a Quran and I started to read a Quran, again, some of the things that I was told was in my head. So I also thought that you was only supposed to pray 3 times a day. And I used to say bogus stuff. Wallahi, I used to be like, I wouldn't even refer to Prophet Muhammad as a prophet. Wallahi, I would call Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam Muhammad. I wouldn't even call him a prophet because I didn't consider him my prophet. You see what I'm saying? Due to the things that I heard. And when people used to discuss the praying 5 times a day, I used to say stuff like, Muhammad made that stuff up. You see what I'm saying? Like, he brought that stuff to the game and some other stuff. And I remember one night And I'm gonna be honest, because this was way back in my day. I'm a young dude, and I had a night out, kicking it, intoxicated, a little bit of everything. So I'm sitting up. I come in the house. It's like maybe 3 in the morning. I'm maybe like, I don't know, early 20s, and like late Saturdays, coming around 3, 4 in the morning, there used to be church on BET, and it was this guy named Fred K. Price or something like that. I'm saying Bismillah just so nobody telegram me talking about you ain't saying Bismillah. I'm just not saying that out loud. So anyway, he had these scroll things, and he was during church, and he was trying to say that they was hadiths. So as he was rolling it out, he was telling his church, I remember one thing distinctive that he said was that the Muslims believe, and he was saying this was in the hadiths, that the Muslims believe that the moon was Allah, that the Muslims called the moon Allah. And he was reading this thing saying it was a hadith. I'm intoxicated. I've been drinking, smoking a little bit, been out kicking it. So I'm just laying in the bed, inebriated, listening to this dude. I ain't never heard no hadiths. I ain't never seen none. And I'm believing, I know that Muslims don't say that, but I'm thinking he's really reading this in hadiths. So I was like, yeah, see, that hadiths is garbage. I knew they was garbage. No Muslims believe that Allah is the moon. And he was saying talking about how they had these minarets, and the reason why they had a half moon on the top of it is because it symbolizes Allah. Now, I knew that from the Nation of Islam and in our gang literature, we represent the 5-point star, but we also had a moon as a symbol. So they had a moon. If the moon was this way, a certain way, and then with the star in it, it meant in the gang literature that Allah watches over you. Right? So like in the Nation of Islam, when they had that half moon and that 5-point star symbolizing Allah watches over you, the moon is Allah. So I knew that they do that. So when he was saying this was in hadiths, and I was like, man, that's some Nation of Islam stuff, but like real Muslims don't believe that the moon is Allah. But like I said, he's reading from this, and he had it in a scroll thing, and it was like copper color, and it looked real old, and he had a whole story about somebody he knew in Turkey had sent it to him, and these was hadiths, and he wrote them out on the scroll, and he's really reading this stuff from it, supposedly. Because even when he wrote it out and held it up, it wasn't English on it. I couldn't tell if it was Arabic. To me, it kind of looked like the type of stuff that you see on the walls in Egypt. It looked like some Egypt Chinese writing on it. But my head didn't say, how can he even read that? But anyway, this also made me feel some type of way about hadiths. Because I'm really thinking that hadiths saying that the Muslims think that the moon is Allah. So I know what it's like to come from that. So I had these beliefs because they was instilled in me, but I didn't have no ilm. I never went to a masjid. I hadn't had the Quran when I first started having issues, because from the very beginning, man, that hadith stuff, man, that's that dirty Arab stuff, because I'm in Illinois. So I'm not always in Chicago. I'm outside Chicago. But when we would go in the summer, some of our cousins who was like Four Corner Hustlers, but they ate a lot of pork and all that type of stuff, but they believed in Allah. And we were hearing them talk that more stuff. That's that dirty Arab stuff, them hadiths and all that. And then the Nation of Islam is around. And then the Muslims that around that you gonna see was mostly war of deen. So everybody was talking about how hadiths was superstition. So it was embedded in me until I'm talking about I was Muslim for years. I read the Quran for years. And I did not refer to Prophet Muhammad as a prophet until I actually picked up a book of hadiths and started reading them for myself and seeing some of the things that the Rasul went through, the way he stand up at night praying till his feet bleeding and all this, until he doing this for us, the Muslims that's not going to ever see him, and the things he doing. Wallahi, I fell in love with him. And I asked Allah to forgive me numerous amount of times for the things that I used to say about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wallahi, when I picked up the books of hadiths and started reading them, when I first got a book of hadith, I got it was just a 1-volume summarized set. When I busted open and started reading it, I couldn't put it down. I read like half of it in one setting. I completed the whole entire book in like 3 days. I had my own business. I had my own business. I had a store. And I was reading it. I used to take it to the store and I was reading it in the store. And because of some of the things that I read in there, I let the store go. You know what I'm saying? So I fell in love with them. So I understand when I see these individuals who have a certain type of mindset towards hadith, because I once had it instilled in me also. And that's how I know that they haven't really sought any knowledge for themselves. Because like I said, once I picked the books up and started reading them myself, then I knew. You know what I'm saying? It was other Muslims who felt a certain type of way about hadiths also. I don't have to continue about this community, but a lot of the Muslims here say that hadiths is superstition. When you go to the masjid here, there's 3. 2.5. I word it that way. 2.5, because one just do Jumar, but you can't go pray 5 times. And from what I'm hearing, it ain't consistent with the Jumar service and a lot of little stuff. So we're gonna say 2.5. But all of these masjids, even the ones that have masjid, they not really promoting and pushing and putting hadiths in people's hands, because these was people who also kind of feel the same way about hadiths until it's time to something cool, and then they want to send somebody something, but in their heart they reject them. I've been around them for years rejecting them. So it was one person, I sat them down and put a book of hadiths in their hand and said, we're going to read hadiths for 30 minutes. And as they started to read them, about 5-10 minutes in, they said, man, these books teach you how to be a Muslim. They teach you how to practice Islam. This was their own observation after they had been taught to hate them. And I said, exactly. Exactly. So I just want to say, you know what I'm saying? The Quranist movement, they've been around for years. You can see videos where they talk about, I was watching them 10 years ago, and they had these videos about how to pray in accordance with the Quran. And if you watch the videos, it's some of the most goofiest. To me, it's goofy. But this is the point that I want to make, man. And one of the brothers, man, good brother, man, he posted in the comments about a dude named Rashid Khalifa, who's a Quranist, and he was, I want to say, I guess in America, but he was an Egyptian, and he done brought that foolishness here about being a Quranist. But when I went to go look at, because the brother said that he came up with the 19 codes. Now, when I was a kid, and we used to listen to the Nation of Islam and read the Final Call, I seen a whole lecture that Farrakhan did about the 19th code in the Quran, and he was going through how these breakdowns and all this stuff equals to the number 19 and it's how it's a magical number and all this stuff. I listened to it, but I never accepted it because of where it was coming from. So when a brother said this dude who come up with it, and now I want to go look into him, I always thought it was some Nation of Islam stuff. So when I go and look into the guy, and he also said the dude was pretty decent until he started saying that he was a prophet, right? So, one, if you listening to somebody who's a Quranist, and then all of a sudden they start telling you that they're your prophet, that they met the angel Jibril, because when I looked into the guy, he said that he met the angel Jibril. Right then and there, everything you ever heard him say, you should throw out the window. 19 codes for the Quran and all this mathematical stuff he came up with, you should throw it out the window. You should have threw it out the window. He's a Quranist. Hadith is fake. It even said that he wanted to do away with what he felt like Hadith was messing up Islam. So he wanted to completely obliterate people falling into Hadiths or fooling with them, period. Everything is Quran, period. Me, now like I said, when I was younger and I didn't have, that stuff was instilled in me before the truth was instilled in me. Kind of like when you were a kid and how Christmas and Easter and all this stuff is just automatically embedded in you. To where it ain't even a thought. It's just automatically a part of your life. You don't care if it's paganism. You know, I see right now it's so embedded in some people that's Muslims. They don't care what Allah and His messenger say about it. They're going to tell people happy birthday. They Muslim. They can't fathom not telling people happy birthday and Merry Christmas and Thanksgivings, and they don't care what Allah say about it because it's so indoctrinated in them. So that stuff was indoctrinated in me as a pup. But until I started to seek the knowledge, I got rid of it. But in a dude like that, but I'm gonna tell you the thing that blew my mind. But once he talking like that, I don't care what he say. He making it up. I don't care how beautiful it sounds. If it's not in accordance with Quran and Sunnah, I don't care what he say. But this was the thing that blew my mind. They said they found him stabbed to death inside of a masjid that he started, that he purchased. This was his masjid. After he started claiming to be a prophet, somebody came, caught him in his masjid that he started and purchased and stabbed him to death. Now, why am I speaking on the masjid part? Because these individuals who talk about they Quranists and hadiths and don't matter and they superstition, but you go to the masjid and pray in congregation. Where that come from? Hadiths. Oh, you gotta pray in congregations. It's the best rewards. If you get rewards greater for praying in congregation. That comes from hadiths. The way you line up in salat, that comes from hadiths. You see what I'm saying? You go and listen to a khutbah on Jumu'ah and then pray 2 rakats after it. That comes from hadiths. But they don't realize that. If you such as Quranist, right, and you want to do away with hadiths, what you doing in the masjid praying 5 times? What you doing in the masjid with lining up behind the imam or being the imam, leading people in rows of prayer? How you going to obliterate hadiths and want to do against them, but you following them? Because you don't even know that these is hadiths. You such a Quranist and you know your Quran so well. Where did you read this stuff in your Quran? And see, that's the issue that I have with them. See, in the time when I had my issues with hadiths, I didn't know how to pray. I had never stepped foot in a masjid or knew where one was. I was a kid. But some of these people, man, they adults. I know people in their 50s, they got issues with hadiths. Almost 60, these grown people don't even have it. And I'm not saying that to knock them, but like I said, how are you going to do away with hadiths and say hadiths is superstition, but you run to the masjid to get the most reward for praying in congregation, but hadiths is superstition? Why that ain't superstition? Because you feel like you're getting a reward from Allah. See, these things you've heard, because you ain't read no tafsirs and you ain't read no hadiths, but you've heard there's these rewards when you come to Jummah, then you forgiven and there's a light on you from one Friday to the next. You chasing that. You lining up in congregational salat because it's 25 rewards better than you praying at home. That you see them doing Eid. They go to the Eid and do all this chanting. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. They turn it into the dhikr into a song. Where you get all this from? But you don't even know it's hadith because you're such a blind follower. And I admit, some of it do have some bid'ah mixed into it. Depending on where you go. Some people have a bid'ah act, but they still going to Eid. Right? Anything that has some type of reward attached to it from Allah, you will see them practicing it, but at the same time talking about hadiths is superstition. But they can't find these very things in the Quran where it's just flat out there. You really have to go to the hadiths. It may mention something about it, but then the hadiths show you how to do it. What you doing, like I say, what you doing lining up? Why is you getting killed in your masjid? You see what I'm saying? Why this masjid that you started and you acting up on and doing these things in for these different type of wars you think you get from Allah, and you in there? Can you imagine this dude on the minbar doing a format from hadiths telling Muslims on Jummah prayer that hadiths is fake and you need the Quran only, but everything y'all doing in there besides the bid'ah that y'all done added and the twisted foolishness that you done put on it, outside of that, this is from hadiths. Yeah, it's from the Deen of Islam, but I'm saying just look at the mindset. Look at how corrupted they are. Look at how little they understand. And like I said, these masjids here, when you go to them, and I done heard it with my own ears year after year after year. We don't read no books of hadiths. I'm talking about from the administration, from the person who get the cook bars, because they will only confuse you. They'll only confuse you. And then from the Afro-American side, from the elders there, I hate saying War of Deen community, they say we don't read hadiths because it's superstition. So these is the understandings that you're going to get. Before I came around, man, individuals hated hadiths. It was only one individual who had did a lot of Fed time, and he came home. He would talk about certain hadiths. I give it to him. He would try to say he had read the whole set of Sahih Bukhari, but I knew that wasn't true because I read it. I know what was in it. I looked at some of the practices he had. But he would say certain things about hadiths so that he was basically putting his wing around them where they was following up under him. You know what I'm saying? They was talking about this dude was their imam. This dude, he could make up anything. This dude even made up a hadith narrated by him talking about you got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready, which a lot of people don't know. He was a blood, right? So, and he was a blood stone. So ready every day is an acronym for red. The R is for ready. The E and the D is for every day. So the way they would say it so they could recognize each other is you got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Which means what? I'm ready every day. That's cold red. He was blood talking. He peace stone talking. And then saying this is a hadith narrated by him. And they took it. But I was the one who knew what he was talking about. And we used to laugh about it. But that's neither here nor there. But these narratives that's being put out there, hadiths is superstition. But here you are at Jumar chasing the reward. Some people showing up early so they could get the reward for the red camel. You know what I'm saying? And the person who comes second get the reward for this. Y'all doing all of this. But you never read it. You never heard it. But then, to be honest, a lot of them don't read their Quran, so they don't know what's in there or not. This stuff is like how I said in one video, man, a lot of this stuff boils down to having a lack of knowledge. It's because people not educated. So, I mean, and so, and I, somebody unsubscribed, you know what I'm saying? And it was possibly the brother, because they hit me up on Telegram, him and his wife, and you could call people through Telegram, and they wanted to give me an earful because I had a video about how the one who read the Quran, are they like the one that reads the Quran and the tafsirs, and then the one who read the Quran, the tafsir, and the hadiths on all of the subject matter, like, are they the same? They feel like the ones who do that is confused. But the person who just read the Quran, don't even look at none of the Arabic in their language, which we all know, no matter what the language is, if it's anything other than Arabic, it has some form of deficiencies where you can't fully get the intended meaning. It may be sufficient for you to understand on a low level, but you're not going to get the full intended meaning on how you should put it into practice. They felt, so they gave me an earful. I ain't argue with them. I was just like, okay, alhamdulillah, but you pray Eid Salat, right? Do you pray Eid? Do you do the Eid prayer? Where's that at in the Quran? You're a Quranist, right? Why do you do the Eid prayer? And I'm not saying this, and I hope individuals who's Quranists, because like the Quran says, man, for the ones who have a disease in their heart, these type of things make them worse. You see what I'm saying? Because parts of the Quran, I won't go too much detail. So I'm saying people who have a disease in their heart, they don't take the good in the Quran. They take certain parts of it and then twist it to their desire and their understanding, and then they become worse. Allah increased that disease in their heart. Like you'll read the Quran where it's saying Allah sent down the book and the hikmah, which is the wisdom, which is in translation, what the Rasul came and taught you and taught us how to act up on things that got recorded in the forms of hadiths. Allah saying he sent all that down in the Quran. But you don't take the good of that. You read it and look at how you want to, and then you change it because you got a disease in your heart. So I hope what I'm saying, instead of them taking the good of it and start to go look at the hadiths, I hope it doesn't make them worse and say, you know what? Yeah, I shouldn't go to Jumar. I shouldn't go pray 5 times in congregation chasing the reward. That is from hadiths. I hope that doesn't make any of them do that. And that's why sometimes I don't try to have these conversations in the setting like where it's in the space where anybody can end up watching it. But you gotta just use your common sense, man. All this stuff you doing that got some type of reward attached to it, you doing it, but you don't know where it came from. You don't even know it's hadiths. But you're a Quranist and want hadiths to be done away with and superstition. This dude is the head of one of the heads of the movements in America. Yet he get killed in his masjid acting up on what? Hadiths. How ironic is that? This dude, just look at the punishment that came up on this guy. One, you come up with these codes for the Quran. You come up with this, we need to do away with hadiths. You build this masjid, probably thinking that you're getting some type of rewards and all this other type of stuff, right? And then next thing you know, you think you a prophet. The angel Jibril done came to you and bless you with prophethood, when doesn't the Quran make it clear that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the seal of the prophets and messengers? If you're a Quranist and you don't fool with nothing but the Quran, why you didn't get that understanding from your Quran that there's no prophets or messengers after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And then when you understand the difference between a prophet and a messenger, see, a messenger is going to come with something new. What you see what I'm saying? And that's why, like, certain people felt away with me because Elijah Muhammad, I was saying some things about Elijah Muhammad, and they was like, Elijah Muhammad never said that he was a prophet. He said that he was the last messenger. Like, that made it better. No, that make it worse, because all messengers are prophets. There's no way he could be a messenger of Allah without being a prophet first. But see, all prophets aren't messengers because they didn't come with something new. When the Rasul was assigned with prophethood, then he became a messenger when the Quran was revealed, and he had to go out and teach that Quran. He had to teach you how to implement deen, and that's when he became a messenger. But this dude done went and played with the deen and all this and corrupted all these people just to all of a sudden say that he's a prophet. That the angel Jibril came and told him he a prophet. You don't even know your Quran. You think that? And then you get murked out in your masjid, violently stabbed to death, feeling all that in your masjid, acting up on hadiths. That's crazy, man. And I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I'm just saying, man, we got to use our brain, man. And you know, like I say, man, some of these people, man, that I personally know have all these issues. Hadiths is made up. They came late. That was just some stuff people wrote 500, 600 years after the death of the Prophet Muhammad. And all this other stuff that they come up with. Yet, they in the masjid chasing rewards from Allah in accordance with what? Hadiths. So you making a phony out of yourself then. If all this stuff is fake, all this stuff is superstition, all you need is the Quran, why do you believe you're going to get the rewards for that stuff you chasing then? See, you picking and choosing part of the religion that you feel like going to benefit you and then throw the rest behind your back. And see, that's why when I'm talking about going to sleep and waking up to make tahajjud, with the difficulties of waking up for Fajr, and like I say, I've done it. Fajr come in at 4 o'clock, go out at 5:45. I might wake up I might set my alarm for 5:30 so I can get in. I might set it for 5:15 so I can sleep longer. Right? But I know Fajr is something I have to do. Now imagine waking up in the middle of the night after you done slept a little bit to get up and do something that's not mandatory. That's even more difficult than to wake up for something you know you have to do. But even at that, even with them, all of these things you're doing because you feel like they got these rewards to them, it comes from hadiths. You can't find how to do an Eid prayer in the Quran. Not saying it don't say do Eid prayer or celebrate the 2 Eids. You don't know how to do Eid Salah without hadiths. You see what I'm saying? You don't know how to do funeral prayers without hadiths. You understand what I'm saying? You going to janazas, You doing janazah prayer. Even this man who was one of the heads of them in America, because this movement is older than him and it's bigger than him. Because when you look through the history, they had to go to war with individuals. It's a hadith where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said a time is going to come when these type of people is going to exist, where they're going to say, we don't need the Rasul Sunnah. Even said when somebody reports to them something from my Sunnah, they're going to say, nah, man, we don't need that. Only thing we need is the Quran. So the simple fact that these individuals, is a true and living prophecy. The Rasul prophesies the coming of you people. But with this brother who's on the wrong side of history, being amongst the ones, and you spreading this message, and this message is going to continue to spread after his passing. He died in 1990. 1990 is when he died. Okay? His message still continued. But the point is, after that man passed, they found that man dead in that masjid. What you think they did for him? They gave him a janazah prayer. He had a janazah. They washed his body. How do you know how to wash a body for a janazah without hadiths? But they know they had to do these certain things, or they may have considered him a martyr and decided not to wash him and buried him the way that he was, but you done wrapped him up. I'm going to assume that they wrapped him up and didn't throw him in a suit and a tie like he was going to church on Sunday and threw him in a casket. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to assume they didn't Christify him. You know what I'm saying? But this is a reality. Y'all had a janazah prayer for him. He probably done had janazah prayers from other people he passed away. But hadith is fake. Hadith superstition. Because you have to have janazah prayers and get the body wash and all these type of things. For what? Certain rewards that you want in the hereafter. Anything that's attached to rewards from Allah, or anything that's attached to some of their sins being forgiven, which is a reward from Allah, anything that has some type of ajr, you will see them acting up on it. But if there's no direct ajr coming from Allah that they feel like is attached to it, like smiling at your Muslim brother or your Muslim sister is a form of charity. Oh no, that stuff fake, that stuff superstition. Anything that they feel like they've been taught how to do, and then there's a hadith that proves that what they're doing is wrong. Oh no, that stuff is fake. But they're going to go to Jumar trying to get that light from one Friday to the next Friday. They're going to show up early trying to get that red camel. But they ain't never read these hadiths. They don't even know they hadiths. This is just what I've been taught about Islam. Because again, if you truly believe that hadiths is fake, hadiths is superstition, why are you acting up on things trying to get rewards from Allah? At the same time, preaching how people need to stay away from hadith. This stuff is majnoon. Shaitan gonna play with your head, man, if you're an individual like that, man. So, you know, like I say, and if you see some of the stuff, man, people say to me in the comments, or, you know, they'll feel away and unsubscribe. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, wallahi, I don't make money off YouTube. I didn't set this up. My channel ain't even set up to earn money on YouTube. So I'm not chasing subscribers so that eventually I can make money off YouTube. Wallahi, none of this have anything to do with money. It originally started for some small people in this community that asked me to come up with a way for a class. Some of them were sisters though. So we couldn't meet and be alone. Some of them married. We couldn't meet like this and that. We couldn't have a set time to all be on Zoom because our schedules is different. So I said, cool. I just start to do the stuff on YouTube. And it grew to what it is right now. You know what I'm saying? And then some of the people who wanted it from in this community, they feel some type of way because some of their husbands may found out about it. Oh man, brother talking about the like I say, for years, a criticism of me was this. For years, and it's still this. Oh man, that brother don't know nothing but hadiths. He don't know no real Islam. All he want to do is talk about hadiths. But I've been talking about tafsir just as long as I've been talking about hadiths. That's a criticism. All that brother knows is hadiths. When you know hadiths, you know how to implement Islam properly. But you don't understand that. That's a contradiction. That brother don't know about Islam. All he knows is hadiths. And then people take on to that. I done heard them with my own ears. Hadith superstition, man. We don't believe in none of that. But yet, here you is, showing up to Jummah, chasing congregational rewards and lights from one Friday to the next Friday, but you don't believe in it? That's fake? That's superstition? Crazy, man. Crazy. And you know, that's one thing about me where I feel bad, because when I be around them in my mind and I listen to them in my head, and sometimes I end up blurting it out. Man, you sound like a crazy person. You sound like a crazy person, man. You've been Muslim 30 years, 40 years. You've been Muslim 25 years. You've been Muslim 18 years. You've been Muslim 15 years. There's no way we should be having this conversation. You sound crazy. Sometimes I slip out and talk like that. You know what I'm saying? So, it's crazy, man. But like I say, and I'm going to close on it. If hadiths is fake, if hadiths is superstition, and you really believe that, why is you chasing all the rewards that you learn about in hadiths then? That make you a phony. You a walking contradiction. You think you fooling Allah or something? Now I hope Allah do reward you. But see, I know things about the nullifiers of Islam. You understand what I'm saying? I know one thing that y'all ain't figured out yet, and because you don't read your Quran enough, you don't read your tafsirs enough, and you definitely ain't fooling with no hadiths. You don't even have no tafsirs. When you understand, when Allah says in the Quran, take what my messenger gives you. When you walk around talking about hadiths is fake, hadiths is superstition, we don't fool with none of that, you really rejecting Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You really rejecting the implementation of Allah's deen. But see, your mind can't fathom that. You think you on some top-notch stuff, and you feel some type of way because hadiths keep correcting you. And you don't know how to tie it to the Quran because, one, you don't read it. Like I said, you can't be a Quranist and don't understand your Quran enough to know that the Quran makes it clear that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the last prophet, and he's a seal of the prophets and the messengers. But now you won? Now you won? How you a Quranist, man? You don't even understand your Quran. But you got these sophisticated codes. I haven't listened to him, but I remember, like I said, I heard it from Farrakhan. You see what I'm saying? And it just sounded like some slick stuff to me. But I was a youth. I almost want to listen to it today. The Nation of Islam even got numerous people from the Nation of Islam writing books called the 19 Codes from the Quran. I don't know if in the books they give this dude credit for it. When I heard Farrakhan talking about it, he didn't give him credit for it. You know, he just made like it was a Nation of Islam teaching. So I never took to it, but now I almost want to find some type of video and listen to it again from, if this guy got it or one of his students or somebody else. I almost want to listen to it But this stuff led you to thinking that you was a prophet, that the angel Jibril, I can't say he really thought that. I don't know for sure if he really thought that. Did he tell his people that so they could continue to follow him? Maybe he was getting money up off of them. Maybe they was donating heavily to his masjid and he was eating off of it like churches do. I don't know if he really thought that, but it led to him saying that. It led him to teaching that. It led to some people actually believing it. And then somebody murk him in his masjid acting up on what? Some hadiths. That's crazy, man. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Anything I said that was wrong was or a mistake, it came from myself and the shaitan. Anything I said that was correct came from Allah Azza wa Jalla Muqtadir wal Alim al Basir. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.